Got a new haircut. How do you like it? Pretty handsome, huh?
Looks great. You're almost military regulations, brother.
Yeah. And just cut it. I've been wanting to get down to military regulations, but to be right honest with you, I've never had hair that short my whole life. So it's kind of a scary thing to have a change like that. Just waiting to get everybody on here. One more. Well, I'm so glad to see that there are some on here tonight, especially some of you who are potential speakers, potential sermonizers, people who don't mind the foolishness of preaching to affect the populace that they have been assigned to. Right. Let me remind you that Yahshua said, going, therefore, going, not go ye, it's going, wherever you are going, therefore, make disciples of all nations, actually of all tribes. Now, see what a big difference correcting that translation makes. Therefore, going, make students of all tribes. Doesn't say get people saved. Doesn't say get them converted. It doesn't say lead them into your group. It simply says that you're to make students, Talmudim, disciples, wherever you go, everywhere you go. Some of us have the wonderful opportunity to speak before groups, knowing that discipleship doesn't stop when a person comes to be justified, when a person is born again. It doesn't stop there. It only starts there. And what I mean is this, that people like us, we're pretty mature in our faith. We've been around for a long time, yet we are still being made disciples. We are still students of appropriate ways to act, even to think, appropriate ways to direct other people, and appropriate ways to be mature in our faith and in our lives. All the time. Going, therefore, make disciples. Going, going, going. So tonight, what I would like to do for some of you that have been working on speeches, working on sermons, is I would like to share some tips that you might not have thought of before in order to share your messages in a way that will help your listeners to get the most out of what you have to say. But first, let's pray. Father, you know our hearts. You know our desires. We don't desire to start at the bottom in a new thing. We desire to start at least somewhere in the middle on the way up. But you have taught us, especially in the Sermon on the Mount, what little things mean, and how little things collect and make big things, and how before we can be proficient at the believer's life, We have to start someplace. We have to learn the primary rules of that. And we thank you for bringing that to our attention. And we give you thanks and praise for those who are here tonight, asking a blessing upon each one. Amen. All righty. Now, some of you fellows evidently want to learn to speak better. Everybody here can speak well, but you want to learn to speak better. You want venues, you want opportunities. Well, maybe not Kenneth, but the rest of you seem to want opportunities. And so I would like to give you the opportunity to do your best in the Shabbat service coming up in June. And I want to schedule you for June or July. We might even have one left in May. I'm talking specifically about Kenneth, Craig, and now I see Sean's on here, and Sean, not to mention Professor Smith, who I'm always trying to get to speak because he's good at it. He's very good. Did you hear his last word on Shabbat?
It was phenomenal. What a blessing.
It was. And when I was editing that, I was editing the one for Hebrew Nation Radio, which is just audio. I was just getting ready to cut that ending off because I have just so many minutes to fill. I can't go over that. So sometimes I have to cut these sermons down. I have to take all the silent spaces out of them, get as many of the distractions and noises out as possible, and sometimes even speed them up a little bit to get the major part of the message to fit into the 50-minute venue. So we'll talk a little about that too. And I would ask you, as I go through, to be vocal, to emote, if you please. So I've got probably, it looks like about 15 or so suggestions for your first sermon, or your second sermon, or your 10th sermon. And I think about some, like the sermon I heard this morning. I would like to be able to share these with the sermonizer today, because the sermonizer today breaks every suggestion, except one. He really gets them going at the first. I don't know where he gets his joke book, but it's a good joke book. I mean, to say one thing he does right is he gets the attention right up front every time. And the joke that he tells is appropriate for what his sermon is about, and primarily because his sermon's the same every time. So, and they are funny, but you don't have to get going with a joke. I mean, you just need to get attention. Now, let me start regarding the draft of your sermon while you type your name in the chat so I know that you are here. Thank you. Some of these things I've been working on for many years myself. And I have noticed since we started getting together, I've been doing good in one area. And I'll tell you which one that is when we get there. First off, finish the draft of your sermon as you would read it. If you're going to use a manuscript, and you should at first, because that sets you off on the right course here. You can always get up and talk off the cuff, you know, but that's really not fulfilling the promise to your people that you've gone to the throne room, got the message from the Father, and come back to give them their message. But I found that it's preferable to use slang and contractions like can't, doesn't, there, T-H-E-Y, apostrophe R, in your written sermon, because it sounds less formal. It sounds more like you're talking. You know, everybody knows that you're reading off a manuscript. That's true. But if you use more of the vernacular that you would use every day, it not only will sound less formal, but it'll sound more in the ears of the people you're speaking to, like their language. And do you enjoy hearing somebody stumbling around on the Shabbat? I don't. Stumbling around? Well, here are some ways you can avoid that. First, know how to pronounce every word in your draft, else you'll show yourself unprepared in others' perception. We had a guy on not too long ago that had several, I would call them 25-cent words in his message. He stumbled over them, and when he finally did them, he was not able to pronounce them. I listened to another guy today online, and he was getting into some deep work in the Talmud. And by golly, he didn't even know how to pronounce the words that he was supposed to be an expert at. So be prepared by being able to pronounce the words in your draft, in your message. If you don't know how to properly pronounce something, ask me. I'm pretty good at that. Or listen to it on the internet. I listen to it on the internet quite often when I see a word I'm not sure of. I just type it in the search engine, and usually a little client will come up that will, if you click a button, it'll say the word for you. And that's my little secret on that. Another, whether you use a screen or a paper, make that type big enough to read it easily and comfortable enough that you don't have to mess with it. You might need to move it around a little bit. If you're using a screen, you might want to make the type, the font a little bigger. Hold on a second, please. Whatever it takes. You'll do a better job and you'll feel more comfortable about it. I remember like last week, Craig was looking at something in one place and his audience was in another place. Well, that didn't count because that was just practice, but that'll give you a good example. Next, it probably won't work well using a tiny screen like a phone to read your texts or notes, especially if you're farsighted. I'm always ready, if I'm using a manuscript, to click on the one little icon. It's got a picture of an A and it's got an up arrow. I can click that a couple times and that'll make the text bigger on the screen. And, you know, I usually work it off of a word processing program or maybe even a PDF program, but there's always something right there. Here it's on the bottom of my screen. There is a little percentage slider. I can make it bigger or smaller very easily. You'll do a better job. Practice it every day. Take a time every day. Go through it until the time that you need to do it. Hey, you read it through every day and you've got 2 weeks leeway or so. You're going to sound like a pro when you get up to do it, at least if you take a couple Valiums ahead of time. Practice it every day, just once a day. That's all you need. Think about it when you're not doing anything else. That helps too. I do anymore my practice in my head. It works better for me than just reading the things out. But then I read a lot of stuff in public. So, and I've got my system, you'll get yours. Especially correct the places that read roughly. If you have to go in there and change your manuscript, please do. Please do. If it reads roughly for you, put it in a way that you can read it better or you can understand it better. Now, you might not want to do this extra little work, but make yourself do it, because this is, when dealing with the Father's stuff, is your reasonable service, or an alternate translation from Romans 12, your logical duty to the Father and to your audience. Next, pay attention to the eyes of the audience, or at least pretend you're talking to people rather than a paper, reading a paper, or reading to a screen. Imagine your audience to be there, and imagine that every time, every day you practice. Nobody said it was going to be easy. Now, your audience will surely know if you're reading or not. So, despite the possibility that you might not even be seeing the audience, still pay the audience as much attention as you can. And here's a little tip that really works well when you are reading a manuscript, and that is to consider somebody in your audience and then give them a little shout out, like, "Isn't that right, Joe?" Or just like Doris does, something like that. Just name somebody you know is in the audience, in a good sense, of course. Not like, oh, he really had bad breath, just like Doris does. Not that. But if you drop a name, sometimes it's not what you know, it's who you know. Watch your use of the pronoun you. This is very important. As in, you need to repent, or you're not saved if you haven't done this or that. Use you sparingly. I'll tell you when to use it a little later on. Instead, use we or us to include yourself, especially if it's a rather negative statement, or you're trying to get somebody to do something. Use we or us. That's better if we would say, we're not saved if we haven't done this or that. Include yourself, include everybody, because it is a human failing to sin. We need to repent, but there is an important place to use you. I think it's down a little bit. That's important. Don't forget that one. Avoid distractions like the plague. Here are distractions. Do you feel me? Pounding or tapping on the podium, snorts, coughs, clicks, any kind of noise. You should have a noise-free zone where you are, because these noises hold three consequences. One is the editor, Brother Schruumkoff, really gets upset with noise in the recording. Why is that? Because he has the duty to have to go in and eliminate the noises, each one being different. He has to go to every single one of them and clean them out. One particular one particular message he had to do a few years ago, I recall. It was an important message from a guest. It took him 10 hours to get all that stuff out of an hour's talk. So it would be clear, and so it would sound professional. Secondly, check how you breathe. Do you make a lot of noise catching a breath? Like, instead, open your throat. Take your breath slowly from the diaphragm. We'll wait. Loud breathing also will mess up the editor, and he won't like that. So open your throat up, watch your breathing. Oh, I said 2 other people that annoys the audience to no end, I'm sure. And again, I said that it doesn't sound professional. It sounds like a YouTube video. We're trying to go a little higher than that. So if you'll try it, open your throat up, breathe slowly from your diaphragm. There won't be any noise on there. But every breath you take is another noise. And there are 1 or 2 people in our group that really breathe loud. I should say, Brother Schruumkoff doesn't even need to listen to some voice prints because he can see the pattern of the breathings in there. Next, have some water nearby in case your mouth goes dry. Mine goes dry. I don't know what to do about it. I've used a lot of things. I've used lemon. I've used those little Listerine strips you put on your tongue. But still, I get nervous enough that my mouth goes dry even now. I haven't found anything yet. If you know of something, let me know about it too. There's got to be something that'll take care of that. Isn't there some kind of over-the-counter thing for dry mouth? My mouth's only dry when I'm speaking like this. If you're interrupted in any way, stop. Stop until the interruption is over. Best thing you can do in the first place is isolate yourself when you're giving these. But if you can't, and even if you can, there are interruptions on occasion. If you've got children, or if a plane crashes through your roof, or say maybe a semi comes through your front door, stop. Say, excuse me, mute the mic, turn off the camera, deal with it. We can wait. Then when you're back, say thank you and go on. No explanation needed, unless maybe you can cleverly work the interruption into the message somehow. These are very, very simple things. Yet, I forget them, you forget them, we forget them. Get the audience attention at the first. Good story or illustration, a solemn prayer. Sometimes, like the guy I listened to on Sunday, a clean joke of some kind. A song if you sing at the beginning. Get their attention at the beginning. If you catch them at the beginning, you'll keep them all the way through. Your strong points are at the beginning and at the end. But don't expect any laughter or even any reaction to your attention getting. Have you noticed that? If you've spoken before, you say something that in a live group, you're going to get some kind of feedback. Well, if you're Zooming, you probably won't hear anything. It'll sound like, oh, that fell flat. But it didn't. You just can't hear. Next, omit as much of your sermon as you can without hurting the message. If you've got a lot of extra stuff there, well, you need a lot of extra sermons to flesh those things out. Less is often better than leading the audience down rabbit trails and dead ends. I am sure that you've listened to ministers that go on and on and on. I think Professor Smith maybe and I, yes, we were together in Feast of Tabernacles meeting where the sermon lasted almost 5 hours straight. And, you know, by that time, unless you are working through everything you know and ever have known, you've been repeating yourself time after time. That's usually the case. So better making it shorter. I like to call 15 minutes a homily. It's a short message with a moral. Or as much as 45 minutes. That's enough. You know, 40 minutes is supposed to be the absolute limit of a person's ability to listen. However, if the Holy Ghost will catch you, then keep going. Keep going. He'll let you down when the time comes. Stick with your manuscript for now. Didn't you work hard on it? Aren't you going to work hard the next couple of weeks? Aren't you going to fix it up and practice it a little bit? Yes, we are. New speakers will often feel powerful, and some will decide to turn on their gift of gab. No, that's not the 13th spiritual gift.
What is that?
Huh?
I said, what is that? The gift of gab?
Gift of gab.
Yeah.
They say, man, that guy can preach. Well, quite often it's just the gift of gab. What they're good at is talking. You want to be good at talking. That's why we're trying to learn how to do this better. And this is a specialty situation. Now, if you want to talk about your grandma's lipstick on her teeth or something like that, really, that's not appropriate. Stick with your text. You'll be much more concise, timely, and satisfied in the end. You'll get satisfied when you see people coming back or commenting about your message. Try to cut back on telling about yourself, unless, of course, that's what you're supposed to do. Shabbat service, we had a person that I asked him particularly to tell his story, and that's what he did. He went nearly an hour, but a lot of that time was used when he got emotional. Man, though, he's a fine speaker. He's a fine person. I'm so glad we could have him. I hope we can again. Seems to have an aura about him. See, I just took you on a rabbit trail. Too many personal experiences in a message are damaging. Now, I heard a fellow last year. I was on a Zoom with a fellow. And he began to talk. Let's see how I can say this. He began to talk about his habit of onanism. You can look that up if you want to, if you don't know what that means. I don't want to use the other term here. But he went on and on about that. And things like that are just too personal to bring up in a meeting open for the public. Too many personal experiences in a message are damaging. Take Biden, for instance. Have you ever heard of one of his speeches? In fact, he not only tells gobs of stories about himself, but he lies all the time. Don't want that. Somebody's going to look back like they did on him and find those lies. People are more interested in what Elohim has told you than what the episodes from your life have told you. So I'm going to change the pronoun now. People are more interested in what Elohim has told us than episodes from your life. Next, open boldly. Close boldly. Close with a challenge. This is the time to use you, to bring it down to each person. Persuade your audience to do something. I'm going to ask, what are some of the things that you might persuade your people to do, your audience to do? If anyone's still there, give me a couple ideas. What would you want to persuade your audience to do?
Read their Bible.
True. What else?
What
Teach
about
Shabbat.
writing down, like writing down, I'm sorry, brother. Yeah. You know, maybe if you're talking about dreams, you know, your dreams, and then scriptural, if you were to do a sermon on the things that fit into the Almighty's pattern of what accomplishments are, and
Write
seeing
them
how they
down.
fit, using
Mhm.
that as an activity.
Yes, very good. Yes, that would be good. And you would do that right along with them. Or if you didn't have time for that in your message, then you would have prepared already a sheet or something that they could do, and then say, we want to talk about this next time, bring it up again. Because I've learned a lot from the Vero Essene Yahad that people just don't always do what they're going to say they're going to do. Persuade your audience to do something. Let me see what else. Get up here to this altar right now and get saved. Get your fire insurance. Today was pray, pray, pray. Pray without ceasing. I like better do, do, do. I think we're going to be judged by works. Prayer has a place in that, of course, or you won't know where you're going. But I think prayer has perhaps less and less a place the longer that you have been in the economy of the ministry, because you have experienced numerous things in the past that Elohim has given you the clue as to what to do, and now you know. You don't have to bug him, her, or it, unless, of course, you want to thank the Father for helping you do a good job. Pay attention to who's in your audience. If you want to endear, if you want to make your hearers love you and love your message, contact them personally later. just to tell them how much you appreciated their being present. And today, I contacted someone that I had noticed hasn't been to the last 3 Shabbat services, just to find out if everything was okay. You never want to tell them something like, say something like, oh, we missed you in church. All you have to do is say, everything's okay. They'll say, if they talk back to you, do you think something's not okay? You say, well, then you can say, I missed you in church. I didn't see you there. I always like to see you there. And I would say in the Shabbat service, in our case, this is Sunday, so I got church on my head. Now, I want to ask y'all.
Hey, Jackson, yeah, just a minute here, if we could. I think Craig had an example. I kind of wanted to hear what his is,
Yeah,
if we
please.
could. Is that all right?
Oh, absolutely. You have to get in here and stop me. I'm
I
done.
was just gonna bring up I think the one that you had brought up in your prayer at the opening of this meeting, which was to pay attention to the little things.
Yes. Don't you, just like the rest of us, kind of leave the little things after we've done something for a while? They build up. At least I think they do. Tell me more.
Oh, that's it. And they're super important. It's where all the
Absolutely.
details are.
Let's see if we got anything here on the chat. Yeah. I think, let's see. Keep a small pebble in your mouth. Not bad, not bad. Neighbor cuts grass. We had a disaffected member of the church years ago that he got mad because they elected a new lay leader of the church. So what he did, he lived across the street from the church. Every Sunday, he'd get out that mower. Not the riding mower, the loudest mower he could possibly find to disrupt the church. A bead. What happens if you swallow that? I guess it'd be all right. How about choking? I'm going to go back here a little bit. Hacking phlegm? Or is that phlegma? Not hacking phlegm. I need to look that word up and see how to pronounce phlegm. Is that a Hebrew word? Phlegm. Phlegm.
Oh, yeah. I thought that's how you spelled phlegm. Am I wrong?
I think you need an H in there, another one. PH.
Really?
See, oh, just go look it up. How should I know?
P-L-E-G-H-M.
I thought it was P-H-L-E-G-H-M. Or a bead. What's a no E in phlegm? Let's see, on the movie Cabaret, this word was, speaking of a rabbit trail, this word was mispronounced by the Germans in there, and everybody got a big laugh out of it. I don't know how I remember that, but phlegm is an important word. It's almost as important as Qatar. They're both the same thing, I think, and both of those could be used in a fine homily.
Qatar, I've heard that word before.
Yeah.
It's more of an old term for it, but I think it's the same thing.
Qatar, yeah, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. All right. Phlegm is a type of mucus made in your chest. You typically don't produce noticeable amounts of phlegm unless you are sick with a cold or have some other underlying medical issue. When you cough up phlegm, it's called sputum. You may notice different colored sputum and wonder what the colors mean. I knew you were going to get into the colors there. Give us a break. Now, the thing that I am doing better at is the distractions when I'm speaking, only because I'm thinking no distractions. I'm thinking no ums. I'm trying to keep that in mind as the whole time since I started out here, trying to keep that in mind. I don't want to make noises. I don't want to blow my nose. I don't want to tap on the desk. Are we still on the phlegm?
Hey, Jackson, I just wanted to say something real quick about that pebble.
Take some time. I'm done.
It's an old trick I learned in the military. It's and when I say a pebble, I'm talking about something very tiny, or like a very, very tiny bead. So if you were to happen to like swallow it, you won't even really notice it, but it works. It's a wonderful way to keep your saliva flowing in your mouth. And actually you get used to having it in there after a while if you do it pretty frequently.
Really?
Yeah.
I want to try that. Like a pebble, or would you suggest something smaller?
I usually just pick up, usually I'm outdoors hiking around or something. I just pick up the smallest little pebble I can find. Just something so it triggers your saliva.
That's a good suggestion. I will try that if I ever get another chance. I have a few more things if you want to hear them. I was hoping that y'all would tell me some things. What drives you crazy besides long sermons? I just can't remember like I used to. How about you? Do you like them long, or do you like them shorter?
I like them about 30 to 45 minutes. Beyond that, I have a hard time making myself focus.
Yeah, 20 to 30 minutes.
So like how many pages do you think that would take of text?
On mine, 20, right around between 15 and 20 minutes is 6 to 8 pages.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I figured that my pages are 7 minutes each, single spaced, big type. Good. That's a really good thing to know, because if you know what your reading speed is, then you can pretty well tell how long the message is going to be, unless the spirit or something else comes to entertain. Your reading must be clear and well pronounced in the dialect of your audience, if possible. Your aim in the sermon should be revealed in the first few minutes. So with that illustration, I would say, if you're going to do an illustration there, you certainly don't have to. I mean, it's the easy way to go. And there are a million sites on the internet that have sermons, illustrations, and they are listed by topic if you want to go look for some. But you really need to state the purpose of your message. What are you trying to accomplish? And then once you fill them in, by the end, you challenge them to do that. It's good to listen to a recording of yourself. I know it's hard to do. Would you want to listen to that voice? I think probably 99% of the people I've asked have said no. They don't want to listen to themselves. I sound funny, or I don't sound like that. That's because you're hearing in your head. What you sound on the recording, depending on what kind of equipment you have to amplify it is what you really sound like.
Yeah, Jackson, I think that's a very useful tool. That was something that they taught us a while ago for public speaking, is to listen to yourself, because you're not getting an accurate picture of how you're coming across from inside your head. But if you are external and listening to what's being said, there's a lot of ways you can improve by listening to yourself and you know, sharpening and focusing the things that need to be perhaps conveyed a little better. So I think that's an important thing.
Oh, you're right. It is. And you'll embarrass yourself probably. I do. When I listen to mine, I think you could do better than this. You're lazy. You know, I get down on myself about it. But one of the reasons I get down was because of so much extraneous noises and distractions mainly. And I've been working on that. So I think I'm ready to listen to myself again. I think I pretty much got those down.
And something I've learned listening to me especially is put more emotion in it.
Mhm.
You know, not just be dry, I guess you'd say.
That's right.
And you've actually helped me a lot with that. So,
Well, I'm trying to model dramatic voice the best I can and model emotional voice, not so much emotional, but dramatic, because I want it to wear off on other people. I figure if you listen to it enough, it'll start wearing off. Either you'll like it or you'll hate it. Another distraction, listen to this. Quite often this happens when you open your mouth to start speaking. You have a lip click. And those come out really loud on the audio. Of course, once in a while, it's understandable, but some folk, it's to the point where, like every other sentence, they start with a lip click, and they actually hurt my ears when I go to clean them up. See what else? I said loud breathing, dogs, telephones. Oh, speaking of loud lip clicks, here's Marcio. Marcio, how was your event?
It was good. It was really good. That's called Street Hope, Tennessee. It's a home for girls who have been in, they've been trafficked, they've been in like sex slaves, and they've been rescued. And so the home is finished, and they have 10 rooms. So tonight was a night kind of to just pray and worship and kind of pray over the staff. There were 12 of the staff members there. And it's pretty remarkable that they've raised the funds, because it took them like 6 years to raise like almost $1 million to build this house and to have staff and get it up and running. So yeah, so it was good.
That is so wonderful.
There's this area, there's so many ministries. It's just mind-boggling, and ministries that are, you know, boots on the ground, really making a difference. So here's something that's really cool. So they passed out bracelets, and I have Hannah. So the rooms are all named a Hebrew name, female Hebrew name from scripture. And so without disclosing the girl's personal information, you can pray for for the girl that's in that room. I thought that was a really great idea. So what's going on here?
We already talked about you.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, but you can listen to the rest of it. I don't want to be around. I don't want to be around when you hear it. We're talking about public speaking. Sean. Sean?
Yep, I'm here, brother. Sister Marcel, I don't know if you're reading chat, but a few of us had some things to say about you. I wanted to read to you what I wrote because I want you to hear this. I wrote, Sister Marcel is a wonderful speaker. She bears her heart when she speaks, it seems, and it's a tremendous blessing. And I want to encourage you, sister, because I do enjoy when I hear you speak. It seriously gladdens my heart because as most people know, I have a hard time keeping control of my emotions sometimes. But I just want you to know that you do a tremendous job, and I find it to be a tremendous blessing. So thank you.
Thank you. That's very kind. I feel like it's just a tiny little thing saying hello, but thank you. That's very kind.
I agree greatly. I am so pleased and proud. Marcio, did they say anything else about the actual, there's a distraction, the actual slave trade?
Did they talk about it?
I'm interested in doing something in
Yeah.
this area.
Well, they had singing and worship, and then they had somebody speak, and then they had somebody pray. And the gentleman who spoke, he's a local pastor somewhere, talked about, was very convicting about how in this age, this is our slavery. And are we going to do something about it? Are we going to, he referenced, how the Christians in Germany didn't speak up, and then he referenced the ones in the 1860s who did speak up and are, this is our generation's slavery in this country. So that's all that was really said about that tonight. But they do have, they gave out little cards that you can volunteer. It's kind of far from me. It's in Blount County. But I'm going to look and see because they want volunteers and people to help along with the people that they have staffed. So I don't know, talking about the coaching, I don't know. I might be able to help. I don't know. We'll see.
That's a blight. It is a blight. I've read a couple of novels on that, of course, some articles, 2 novels on that subject, novelized to let you know without having to be factual, what that's all about and how it works. And it is absolutely despicable how any human being could be so far down in the depths of sin to be a part of that mess.
I know.
It's astounding to me.
Yeah,
What kind of people are these? I think what we ought to do is just pray them dead.
I know.
What good are they for? No good whatsoever, causing so much pain and heartache for so many people. I understand that there's a 1-hour course online. I think it's PACE. Let's see. I'll have to get the website, but you can probably find it if you're interested in it. They do a 1-hour course. It's free. It's online, where they get you down into understanding exactly all the different venues for slavery that are now being procured and preferred by rich people.
Yeah.
That's the thing. A lot of it was big dollar things and some really scary places.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
People like Billy Graham, the place, and there's a place in North Carolina. I went to a children's hospital last Dakota to pick up a girl that had a seizure, and I was legitimately like scared. This whole place It was so strange. It was like a Christmas wonderland. Like all the McDonald's were like cabin-esque, like snow. And this was, oh, what was the place? It was by that big mansion in North Carolina.
By the
or in-
Biltmore?
Yes, by the Biltmore. What town is it? Maybe even the Biltmore town itself, I guess.
Montreat?
Yeah, it's scary. Like I was legitimately scared,
Hmm.
like out of my wits being there to pick this child up.
Why? What scared you?
Just the setup. It was like a Christmas wonderland. Like it was set up to attract children and child predators for sure.
Have
Wow.
you all ever read the Revelation chapter that talks about that? This lament over Babylon, Revelation 18.
Sure.
In that verse, it actually makes one of the examples is the bodies and souls of men, of slaves,
Buying and
indicative
selling
of
them.
Babylon.
Yes.
And it says, and the kings of the earth, the ones having committed sexual immorality and having lived luxurious with her, will weep and will wail for her when they see the smoke of her burning, standing from afar because of the fear of her torment, saying, woe, woe, the great city Babylon, the strong city. For in 1 hour your judgment has come, and the merchants of the earth weep and mourn for her, because no one buys her cargo anymore, cargo of gold, of silver, of precious stone, of pearls, fine linen, purple, and of silk, of scarlet, and all thine wood, of every article of ivory, and every article of most precious wood, and bronze, and iron, and marble, cinnamon, spices, incense, myrrh, frankincense, wine, oil, finest flour, wheat, cattle, sheep, horses, and of chariots. And here it is, and of souls, and of the slaves, and of slaves and souls of men. This is why some people still believe that America is Babylon,
True.
latter-day Babylon,
One
World
thing,
is that. The
because we're
world.
the capital. We're the capital of human smuggling of sexual slavery.
But all you
Babylon.
have to do is pick up a publication of Voice of the Martyrs. And do you know the horrific things they're doing to believers in India? That the Hindus, that in America, people have picked up on some of the Hinduistic beliefs like reincarnation, and that it's, a peaceful type religion, but it's not. I mean, the caste system that's there. So, I mean, you don't have to, I know that there are things in this country that are a blight on this country, but still compared to the rest of the world.
Yeah, you said caste. You mean like the caste system?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, the different levels they put people on.
Yes. And
Yeah,
like, if
yeah.
you're not born, it's just horrific what they do and to people there and believers especially. I mean, they're persecuting any believers that are, trying to preach a different message. So, yeah.
Oh yeah, they for sure have different levels of people or society. And
Mhm.
you have the nobles all the way down to the peasants, and each class gets treated according to where they fit. It's awful.
Yeah, I was reading about it. I don't know if you sorry, I was moving all over the place. They say that in the US people have the misperception that Hinduism is inclusive, but its tenets include the teaching that those not born into it are permanently excluded, and worse yet, many in India are considered to be born beneath the castes. I say castes, C-A-S-T-E-S-E. I don't know, maybe it's caste. There are the Dalits, from a Hindi word meaning downtrodder, and the number around 200 million are treated as so far beneath others that are untouchable. I think about Mother Teresa and how she would minister to the untouchables. And, just that they said that Americans are enamored with the Hindu ideas. They don't understand the most significant aspect of the religion that's practiced in South Asia. they continually strive and sacrifice to appease wrathful gods and goddesses. And within this belief system, purifying a village, state, or nation, or anything or anyone that is not Hindu is viewed as essential to eliminating suffering and ensuring prosperity. Yeah.
It's all undercover here. I think you probably just don't read or hear much more about it, but I would argue that things are worse in the United States than they actually are in India for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know 2 years ago or 3 years ago, big hurricane.
Is that my internet?
I'm sorry.
No, I think he froze.
Okay.
Goes up. Okay. Wow, this is a lot of fodder for an event, really. I think a lot of people are interested in this these days. I know a lot of movies and television stories, for those that are in those all the time, are dealing with this. And I think the Saudi family is very much involved in this, as are some of our other so-called allies in this world. Yeah, probably one thing that Biden won't cut off from those rich oligarchs in Russia he keeps talking about. I think that they're probably involved in that too. It's horrible. All right, well, our hour's up. I promise not to keep you more than an hour. And so I appreciate you coming. Marcel, what this has been is we're just talking about getting up there for your first, second, or third sermon. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to schedule Craig, who's got his hand raised. Go ahead.
It ain't me. That's what I was going to ask. When are we going to get scheduled?
You're going to be scheduled tonight. I'm going to go to the Team Up calendar, and you know where to find that now, right?
I think so.
Okay. And tell you what we have. Oh, I scheduled you already. You were chomping at the bit for May 21st. How about that? It's like 3 weeks, 2 weeks.
Plenty of time.
All right, you got it.
Thank you.
May 21st. Thank you. And let's see, what else do we have that month? We're going to have to go to June. Wow. I need to get some people for June. We've got Yaakov Kramer on the 4th, Avi Ben Mordecai on the 11th. I'm trying to get Will Davis on the 18th, the TikTok man. So we've got the 25th of June.
Hey, Jackson,
Yeah.
along lines of this scheduling people,
Mhm.
let's say if we had more speakers than we had slots for just the one slot for Shabbat, if you were to think about perhaps like you know how some churches, they have like a morning and they've got the evening service.
Yeah.
If we had enough speakers to fill that, what would that look like to you? What would the format look like to you?
It would look
If you had a
good.
second service.
I think it would be great. I'd love to do that. I know we can get a whole different crowd in there. You know, the Yahad supposed to split when there's 15 people. When there's 15 worshiping, it's supposed to split until each one gets 15. I think you even mentioned that one time, one of your messages. So when do you want to start?
Well, I think Craig has always already been we kind of back and forth a little bit.
Okay.
But what about the format? What do you think a format would be in your estimation?
Well, I have Rev services, evening services, usually they're used on Friday night, but they could be used on Friday night instead of Saturday night. We could have an Rev, or we can do Saturday night. It makes no difference what day it's on, as long as we keep the set apart convocation on Shabbat.
Yeah, well, I
what'd
was
you
thinking
guys
maybe
decide?
a Saturday night to kind of pattern what the churches are doing.
Okay, that's a great idea.
For some reason, that seems to work. You get them in the morning, they have the afternoon to rest, they come back. You don't get as many at night normally, but you do get.
We could put a whole different liturgy crew in there.
Yeah,
We wanted to.
yeah.
Or maybe devote it more to prayer. I mean, did you see the chat yesterday with Onya? Did you see what he was saying?
I did, but I can't remember.
Yeah.
What did he say?
Yeah, I thought.
Oh, he was just saying that he
He
doesn't
needs a
pray.
touch of the Ruach HaKodesh. I mean, that boy needs some spirit. He needs some Holy Ghost.
That's why I quit working with him, because he said on one of the things we did together, he wasn't a believer. And
That was obvious.
yeah, well,
Yeah, I've heard him
he's
make
kind of
statements
he
like that.
The thing
changes his
is,
mind.
he's got so much up here that this is blocked off. The spirit man is blocked off for him. But it's all in here.
But you
Great
do realize
academic.
he's got a bad case of Asperger syndrome, right? Look it up and read about it. Maybe we can approach it in that way.
It's autism spectrum disorder. Did you know they stopped using that term?
Yes, I did, but I'm not stopped using it because it might be on their spectrum, but they're not the same.
Yeah, it's
Sure what they say.
well, to me, I see it that they're just more high functioning, and you don't really even know unless you're savvy to the behaviors that you see. I mean, just from working with different children that many of them are gifted, like Onya. They're high functioning, so that people misunderstand them, and sometimes as children they don't get the help that they need, the support that they need.
I think,
but there is more of an awareness now. I mean, there's like autism awareness stuff going on all the time, so that they're not marginalized, so that they.
The only thing that cures that, and I'm using my son as an example, he has Asperger's. Which is they classify as a form of autism, higher functioning autism. The only thing that's cured him over the years is to be around people. But if you're a hermit, you're not going to get that interaction, so that you can learn the cues, the verbal, nonverbal cues. Yeah. Around people. And now my son, he talks like a normal person, and he's a lot more sensitive, to things that they ordinarily wouldn't be, So I think socialization is huge to try to help that.
Well, for some, let's say, autistic people who have what was once called Asperger's syndrome, sometimes that syndrome is very useful for certain professions, certain jobs. Because
detail-oriented stuff that really requires hyper focus. They shine. They shine in those things. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I wanted to add something real quick. My youngest is on the spectrum, like I was saying, and he is brilliant. He seriously is a brilliant young man. He's 16, and he's always been like this. If he finds a subject that interests him, he studies it to the point of becoming expert level. Like he used to be in the storms and tornadoes, and he knew every single category, damage things, all of it. It was amazing. But so I agree with that, with what you said, Brother Greg, with your son. It's very similar with mine.
Mhm.
So Marcio, is it all right if I make a mistake and call it Asperger syndrome?
I just was corrected by a professional like about 5 years ago that they're not
wasn't
using
long
that
ago.
term anymore. Yeah.
Okay.
They don't like labels probably. If they say spectrum,
I
maybe
think
they
that
think it's more of a,
they're trying to show the relationship that Asperger's, so that people understand that autism, there is a spectrum, because it's, I don't know, I don't know if levels is the right word, but it's different kinds of behaviors. So,
Mm.
and I'm not sure about that, but I think from my understanding that Asperger's is like high functioning autism.
right, right. Very high functioning. Yeah.
If you have 10 minutes sometime, go out and take a free Asperger's syndrome assessment online. That'll be really revealing. I took one and I was very shocked. Try it sometime.
Did
There are a lot
you
of them.
fit close into that spectrum there, Jackson?
What?
Did you fit into that?
Yes.
I thought so.
Mm,
Yeah.
yes.
But but your socialization is, you wouldn't tell it. Wouldn't
think
tell
that
it, but
comes-
but
I
the
think that comes with-
hyper-focus on subjects, you
I'm
see
an
that.
extreme hermit.
But don't you think the socialization, because like we have my niece, Erin, they, as they become adults and they're so highly intelligent, they're able to figure it out. They're able to figure out how to behave in social situations
Mhm.
because they're so smart.
Just like a
Yeah, they
sociopath.
mimic what they do. They don't have it internally, but they mimic. They watch. It's observed behavior.
And like my niece she'll ask my sister, she'll present scenarios. She's a prosecuting attorney now. And so, like you said, the certain professions, she's really good at what she does, but in social situations, she'll ask her mom how she should behave or how she should have reacted or what she should have said, or,
What's
to
up?
kind of, yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know that she had that.
Mhm.
I just thought she was weird.
Oh, we knew there was something going on with Erin from about the age of 5. Mom, Erin, I'm going to throw your purse out the window. Remember that one?
Yeah.
She was 12 when she did that.
Well, when she was 5, she told Santa Claus, "Oh, you're so ridiculous."
Yeah.
Hey, she's not lying.
All right. Well, I'm ready to go. I just mentioned that I'm a loner. Except for this, I stay where I am. I don't really want to go anyplace. I hate socializing, except maybe at Feast of Tabernacles.
Did you talk about that tonight? Did I miss that?
No. One of the reasons tonight, no, we didn't talk about that, but we need to. In fact, I had Ann over here today. There's something going on, and I need to turn the recording off real quick.